Hi, this is Egypt with another share. I hope everybody's okay. As you see, I certainly am. I was just finishing up a meditation. I'm feeling real relaxed and real open. And it brings me to a story in Second Samuel chapter 9 about a man. He's a man now. His name is Mephibosheth. Now, Mephibosheth was the son of Jonathan and the grandson of Saul. Saul was no longer king, but they were in battle, and Saul and Jonathan both got killed in the battle. So that left the little boy. At the time, he was 5 years old. He had a nurse that took care of him, and so his nurse heard that the grandfather and the father died in battle. So she got scared, and she took him up. She picked him up, and she ran. She ran from the palace and she dropped him. So I wanted to ask a question. Have you ever been dropped, or have anybody ever dropped you? Maybe not the way that she dropped the little boy, but just, you know how that is. Sometimes people drop you, or you drop somebody else. So she picked him up in fear, and she was running, and in her haste, because she was so quick to just like jump up and leave because of her fear, she thought that David was probably going to come back and kill up everybody. But David was known for that, because when God told David to kill a people, he killed the whole nation. He killed the whole generation, because if he was to leave somebody, if someone was left over, then that means the next generation would rise up, especially if they were evil. So God wouldn't tell him to kill righteous people. So obviously, if it was a whole nation or generation that David was instructed to annihilate, is because they were evil. So if you would leave somebody, then that next generation, the grandson or the great grand or great great great, because God said he visits the iniquity of the third and fourth generation. So it could be the great 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 grandson that was left over, and because he have evil in his heart from his family lineage, then he would probably end up having some evil ways and bringing up a whole nother evil nation. So that's why God would tell David or whoever, just kill up everybody. So he did that. So when the nurse heard that when the nurse heard that the father and the grandson, Saul and Jonathan, was dead, she got scared. She picked him up in her haste and she fell. And she threw him so hard that it broke both of his ankles, his legs and his ankles. And so he ended up being crippled and couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. So after David finished all of his war duties and doing everything that God told him to do, he was like, you know what? I wonder if there's anybody left over in Jonathan's or Saul's family that I could be kind to, because David and Jonathan was really, really tight. They were close like brothers. And so even it explained in the Bible that David even went on record as saying that he he loved Jonathan so much like the love of a woman, not in the flesh way. He wasn't a homosexual. It wasn't that kind of love. It was just that closeness. So he loved him like he was like in love with him in a way of being like brothers. He loved him so much. And Jonathan loved him, but Jonathan helped him escape when Saul was all jealous of David. But anyway, this story is about Mephibosheth. After he got dropped, he ended up going into a place called Lodabar, which is near Gilead. Gilead is where they get the healing balms. And you know, in the scripture says, is there a balm in Gilead to heal people? That's where they went to get a balm, like a salve or something you rub on your body, that when you were sick and everything, you would go to Gilead to get that. Lodabar was near Gilead. So that's where Mephibosheth ended up staying. He stayed, and I'm looking at my notes, y'all. He stayed with a man for years called Mashir. And Mashir really raised him. So once David destroyed all of the adversaries from the children of Israel, he wanted to show kindness to Jonathan's house, which is okay, connected to Saul. Even though Saul didn't like him, David still wanted to show kindness. So he asked Mephibosheth's and actually Jonathan's servant called Ziba. Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants himself, but he was a servant. He would serve Jonathan and anything Jonathan needed and Jonathan's people needed. Ziba was the one to serve them. So he said, yes, he has a son. His name is Mephibosheth. By this time, of course, Mephibosheth was grown. So David said, go get him. So they went to get him. And so they brought him to David. And so he sent to him and he was kind of afraid. And I'm looking at my notes. So he said, I'm going to restore you. I'm going to do right by you because you and me and your father was tight. We loved each other. Your father is Jonathan. And so I'm going to do right by you because you are his seed. So this is what he says to David after David went to get him and sent for him in 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse 8. Mephibosheth, oh my God, these Bible names are so challenging. Mephibosheth said to David, and it says, and he bowed himself and said, what is thy servant that thou should look upon such a dead dog as I am? And I mean, he looked at himself at so low degree because he could never work because he couldn't walk. He was crippled. He was lame. So he couldn't walk. So he probably never worked. Probably never had, well, no, because it said he did have a son. So he was able to do a little something, you know. He couldn't work, but he worked, but not that kind of work. But anyway, in Psalm 37:25, David said, I have been young and now I am old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. That means when you're righteous, like when you know you're righteous and you doing what you can, your children are not going to suffer like that because we always want more for our children. So David's saying he haven't seen the people that's righteous. Now, if you have an evil heart, sometimes your children, because whatever you do, your children's going to suffer in the next generation. Usually whatever you got going on, it usually falls on into the next generation. So David said he'd never seen the righteous forsaken or their seed begging for bread. So I guess he said, no, I can't see Jonathan's son stressing over anything or wanting for anything because I'm king and Jonathan was my best friend. So I'm not going to do that. So he went to seek Jonathan's son and brought him back to the kingdom. And he felt he was lame and he was insecure. He had low self-esteem. He had low self-worth. He just didn't look at himself as worthy to sit at the king's table, really. And when you humble yourself, because he was so humble, he had low self-esteem, but he was down in the way he felt about himself. Usually when you feel like that, when you just like, whatever, you in low degree, not that you abusing yourself, but you just low key with everything, God will exalt you. But some people try to exalt themselves and God will bring you down when you try to do that. Because really, I wanted to bring, this is to a story that I have. This is like so crazy. I remember taking my grandson to Jamaica. It was so nice. Okay. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to go snorkeling. I bought all the stuff. I bought the life jacket and the snorkeling equipment and all this stuff. We're going snorkeling. Okay. Yeah. So it was our time to go snorkeling. So we got on the boat. So we riding in the boat, right? Playing the music and everything. And it's like, it's so funny because we're going way out in the water, way out in the water. So we stopped and then we stopped and then, so the guys on the boat, the workers on the boat, they put an anchor down, which meant, so to keep the boat from floating on, they put an anchor down to stop the boat. So the people on the boat, including us, they put, we had our equipment on, everything, checked our equipment, made sure everything was good. They jumped in the water. Everything was copacetic. They tread in water now. They tread in water. So they all in the water. So it's my turn to jump in. Now, when I looked over while I was seeing the people in the water, I looked over and I was like, oh, I see the sand. I see the bottom of the ocean. Sand, nice and clear, crystal clear. So when I jump in, I'm like, ooh, because we had our flippers on and everything. When I jump in, now we told everybody, we told the people we can swim and everything. I lied. Told them that my grandson could swim. So, okay, at the time he's actually 8. So I jump in and realize that no, what I saw at the bottom, because the water was so clear, I was able to see the bottom. So I jump in and I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold up. This is like real ocean here. I mean, there's no bottom right now. I can't feel the bottom, but I had my flippers on, so I was treading water. So, right? So I'm like, oh, wait a minute, hold up. I don't know what made me think I was gonna be able to hold my grandson's hand, right? We was gonna walk from the bottom of the ocean, just walk on the sand in the bottom of the ocean and go snorkeling by me holding his hand and just him seeing a little fish in the coral reef. Don't know why I was going there, but I went there. So I was like, oh, never mind. Hold up. This water deep for my grandson. He cannot swim. I didn't say that, but I said to myself. So, okay, lo and behold, by the time I was thinking of that, and I was like, oh no, we can't do this. Somebody jumped over my head. I was already in the water. Somebody jumped over my head and splashed in the water. It was my grandson. He just splashed right in. He had his life jacket, his snorkel and stuff, his flippers on. He had everything on. And so he was able to float, even though he couldn't swim, he was able to float. And I got totally stressed out. I'm like, oh no, I'm trying to hold his hand. Meanwhile, he's backing up, saying, oh no, wait a minute, I like this. So, oh my God, I got so stressed up. The man, like the guide, he was like, okay, calm down. I got so stressed out, so full of fear for my grandson that he was like, look, just because my goggles got all fogged up and everything. So he said, take your goggles off and rinse them in the water, put them back on, it'll clear up. So I did that. But by me doing that in the process, I'm so busy trying to watch my grandson. I went and I swallowed some of the water. So I was just done then. So once I swallowed the water, I was too through. I'm coughing and everything. And meanwhile, I'm still trying to reach my grandson. And he was like, he's okay. He's okay, Mom. He's okay. I said, look, hold up. You don't understand. Something happened to that boy. I cannot go home. I have to stay here with y'all. I'm going to live in Jamaica. I have to stay here. I cannot go home if something happened to my grandson. So y'all don't understand. So anyway, I'm saying, come on back. trying to tell. I'm so scared at this point. I'm telling him, come on back. Come on, we ain't gonna do this. We're not gonna do this. My grandson is floating. He can't swim, but he's floating back because he's going with the people. Now the people are not trying to be bothered. They trying to snorkel. They pay for their snorkeling. They trying to go out. I'm all stressing out over trying to get my grandson. I don't know what made me think I was just going to hold his hand and we were going to do the underwater, like the Jacques Cousteau and underwater adventure while I'm holding his hand. He see everything. That didn't not work out like that. I got so full of anxiety because the water, we could not, and I don't know what in me made me think, okay, we drove out for so long. We stopped. They put an anchor at the bottom of the boat. That meant the water was really deep. Because the water was so crystal clear, I was able to see the bottom. I'm thinking we can walk on the bottom. We can just walk and see the fish. Not. So my grandson was not having it. He was like, not. He kept floating back toward, like, with going out with the people. And I'm like, no, come back. But I never did get it together. I never did. I ended up going back on the boat. The man was like, look, let me take him out. I was like, sir, you don't understand. I cannot go home. If something happens to the boy, you understand. I'm going to live with you for real. So he was like, man, I got him. I'm a professional diver. I got him. So I was like, oh, I took some deep breaths. So the guy who was driving the boat was like, man, he knows what he's doing. Let him take your grandson out. So he put my grandson, even though the people was going out, he put my grandson on his back, and they went out. And I was like, oh my God, Lord Jesus, help me. Meanwhile, I'm a punk ass. I'm all on the boat now. Me and this other he got scared at the last minute too. So me and him, the only two, about maybe 10 or 15 people going out, snorkeling. Me and him on a boat. And I'm like, well, whatever. I guess I shot the sheriff or whatever and didn't shoot the deputy. Whatever we were singing, I couldn't even get with it. Because I'm looking at my grandson on this man's back going out into the ocean. Okay, so they went so far out that I didn't even see the colors of the life jackets anymore. They was just gone. They was gone for like 40 minutes. Just thinking about it, I'm like, hold on, y'all. Mm-mm-mm. Just thinking about it, I was like, oh my God. I was just too sick. So finally, after 40 minutes, I started seeing colors. Because, I was hawking the ocean. I was all like, like I had goggles. Like I could see all through the coral reef or something like that. It was a trip. I started seeing the colors of the other people's life jackets. And then I saw my grandson's, his was blue. So they start coming in, coming in, coming in. I was so proud of him. He came in. He wasn't on the guide's back. He was holding his hand, and I seen him go under the water, and I seen the little tip of the tip of the snorkeling thing, the little tube. And then I didn't see it anymore. It went all the way under, and then it came up. It went all the way, and I think when you go under, it kind of closes up so no air can get in. But I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, look at that. Meanwhile, my punk ass all on the boat. I didn't even go because I never got it together. I was so scared for my grandson. So he came back, so he got on the boat. He was like, I said, you have fun? Yeah, Grandma, it was fun. I want to do it again. He said, I said, so what happened to Grandma? He said, you was scared. I had to laugh because it was so true. So what I'm saying, that story, it was so funny that I'm bragging about. We're going snorkeling. I'm taking videos now. We leave the resort room and I'm taking video. Where we going? We going snorkeling. When I get there, I punk out. My grandson go. I was so scared for him that my fear was going to hold him back. And I'm so glad that he was floating away from me saying no. He didn't say no with his mouth, but his actions was like, no, I'm going with them because we're going snorkeling and I'm going. He had absolutely no fear. I was the one that was scared. I really was scared for myself, really. And then I projected my fear on him, and that would have stopped him from going snorkeling. Now, we're in Jamaica. So how often would he have got to do that? Had I projected my fear on him like the way that the enemy wanted me to do, he would have never experienced that. Never in his life. And he was only 8 at the time. So I'm glad that he was strong enough to say, no, Grandma, I want to go. And then I was just like, okay, go ahead and go. But I didn't go. So it's like I would have dropped him because of my fear. It would have dropped him from going emotionally. I'm talking now. It would have dropped him from going on and experiencing something that he may not ever experience again as a child, but he may go again as an adult. But at 8 years old, to be in Jamaica, to be in the middle of the ocean or the sea, whichever one is bigger, in the middle of that, going to see the coral reef, and he said he's seen the fish, colorful fish. He said he's seen so much because the man took him down in there. So I wanted to share that story. It was funny, but it was just like, I'm so glad I did not stop him from my fear. And that's what the nurse did. The nurse, she stopped Mephibosheth because she was afraid. So she dropped him, and in her haste, in her dropping him, he got crippled. He wasn't able to do anything, not just swim or go deep sea diving or snorkeling. He wasn't able to do anything. And then he considered himself a dead dog. So my question, who dropped you and who crippled you with their fear? Who made you lame and insecure and to give you low self-worth, to feel unworthy and feel that you're not good enough to sit at the king's table, that you're not good enough to do this, you're not good enough to do that, you're not good enough to be promoted in a job, you're not good enough to own your own business, you're not good enough to be whatever you want to be. Usually somebody who tell you that, girl, I wouldn't do that, or girl, you shouldn't do that. It's because of their own fear. It's something that's in them that's afraid to do it. I wouldn't do that at all if I was you. But the point is, you're not me. You're not me. So you don't have to do it because you're not me. But people do that all the time. And a lot of times we listen to that. I'm so glad that my grandson was like, nah, He was having so much fun. My fear would have stopped him from going snorkeling in the middle of the ocean in Jamaica. Now, how many chances would he have gotten to do that through his lifetime had I stopped him? And I'm glad his childhood instinct, his fearlessness stop him, did not stop him from going. And it allowed me to really check myself to see, wow, I would have stopped him. What do I want to have? Did I want to have that much control over him to where he couldn't even have fun? So, what I want to say, God has not given us the spirit of fear. First of all, He give us love, He give us power, and He give us a sound mind. And don't let someone else's fear keep you from doing what you have the courage to do. My grandson had courage. He had more courage than I had. And I used that excuse, oh, I'm scared for him to go. Oh, it's deep. What was I thinking? Okay, you're in the ocean. There's no bottom. Because the water is so crystal clear, I'm thinking we was able to walk through what I was going to walk and snorkel. That was crazy. So I wanted to say that don't allow a person to drop you because of their fear. Don't allow them to project their fear on you to stop you from doing what you want to do. And don't let fear hang out with you. Walk with God. And there's a scripture in Joshua 1:1-7, and now I'm gonna read it real quick, okay? Sorry, I'm looking down, but I want you to get this scripture. Joshua chapter 1, verse 1-9, and then verse 1-7, and then 9 says, Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, that my servant is dead. Now therefore arise and go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to you, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that I have given to you, as I said unto Moses. From the wilderness to the Lebanon, to this Lebanon, even to the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and until the great sea towards the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee in all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. So God is telling him, I'm not going to leave you. What I promised Moses, I am going to do with you. Okay, verse 6 says, Be strong and of good courage, for until this people shall thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. And there shall only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou may prosper and whithersoever thou goest. And I'm going to skip down to verse 9, which says, Have now I commanded thee, be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou go. So what I'm saying, I read that far because 3 times God told Joshua, do not be afraid, be courageous, be strong. So we have to look at fear. We have to look at fear like it's a particular thing. It's like it's a person. And look at it directly in the face. Whatever you're afraid of, whether it's going on with a career, whether it's going on being opening your own business, whether it's facing somebody, whether it's doing a job or just doing something that you're afraid of. Look fear directly in the face as though it is a person and ask fear, what are you doing here? What do you want? What is it that you want from me? What are you doing here? And so, because fear is just a mindset. That's all it is. Fear is not tangible. Fear is just something that you think might happen. You don't really know if it's going to happen. It just might happen. But we look at fear as the boss, as the dominant force. Fear is just something that we came up with in our own mindset. And so we have to overcome fear, because in the Bible it does say God has not given us the spirit of fear. He gives us love. He gives us power, and he gives us a sound mind. And so we have to just look at that and say, what are you afraid of? Because most time what you're afraid of, it doesn't even happen that way. It really does not happen the way we think that it would happen. We're so afraid of it. We're afraid of people. We have to stop looking at what we think people are going to say or do, because it doesn't matter what they say or do, because most times if it's in opposition to what you want to do, it's because they are afraid. They are projecting their fear upon you, and you listen to it. Girl, I wouldn't do that if I was you, I would do it like this. And I remember I had a dream trip, and I told somebody in that this is what I wanted to do. I wouldn't do that because they doing this there, and this is happening, that's happening, that's happening. That's their fear. If you're not afraid, go forward. Just like what's going on with the COVID and everything, you have got to still live. We have to still live. Okay, take care of yourself. Be precautious. Make sure you stay safe and everything, but you can't run around scared, because either you be scared and let fear kill you, or you go on with this life and keep moving, because we're supposed to be here. So we're not supposed to let fear dictate what we're supposed to do. Give it to God, pray, cover yourself, keep moving, be strong and courageous. God has us. He really, really does. So I just wanted to share that story, because to me that was so, I think back now and I just laugh at myself, because my grandson was like, that's something, what I love is that it's something that he can tell his grandchildren or tell anybody that he knows, that he went snorkeling in the sea at 8 years old. Really, who gets to do that? Who gets to do that? And he did it, and he wasn't afraid, and he went, and so that's a memory that fear tried to block. That's something my grandson would remember all of his life. And leaving it up to me, I would have blocked it, because it was my fear that something would happen to him, because I got scared. I got so stressed out that my goggles got foggy, and I swallowed some of the seawater. So you know what happens when you swallow that seawater. It was crazy. But I'm so glad that fear did not prevail in that situation. So I just wanted to share that. Don't be afraid. If it's something that you want to do with your life, just do it. If it's something that you want to do or say or read, or like even with these, what I'm doing, I don't know, but I'm moving on. I'm doing what I do. I'm just doing what I do, because nobody has the right to tell you what you can or cannot do. So I wanted to share that with you. And I'm so glad that you're listening. I thank God. I hope I was able to bring some kind of value to you. And y'all just don't be afraid. Just keep moving. Just have some courage. Just have some courage. Take some deep breath. I meditate a lot. That helps me so much. So I just wanted to say, y'all just keep pressing on and conquer your fear. Conquer your fear, because it's all a mindset. It's not real. It's not even real. Really, what is fear? It's not even anything real. It's something you conjure up in your own mind, and then you start believing it. So if you can believe something that you're afraid of, then you can believe something that you're not afraid of, that you have the courage to do or say or be. You can switch it around and think something courageous for yourself. So y'all have a blessed day. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon. Take care.